again, thanks. We've got lots to cover off. Essentially, it's been a really exciting year. I started this year by going to Amsterdam for what's called Sugon. It's a Sitecore user group conference, and it's really about the community getting together and talking about all the exciting things that are coming up. The neat thing about it is it's in Europe, so it's really, really heavily attended by the Sitecore developers who are actually working on the product. So you get a really, really good steer of where the company's going and what technologies they're working on. So at Sugon this year, it was really all about AI, machine learning, bots, all sort of stuff that we started to see come out at Symposium this year. So it's really interesting. We've got a presentation. Ryan and I are kind of going to double team it. This is the first time we've run by ourselves, so feel free to ask questions. Sorry, what was that? You made sure. Okay, so I think we can make this work, but we're lucky. So about us, your hosts, me, Bruce Daviscoff, I'm a technology MVP. Ryan and I are really, really happy to say that we both got awarded MVP again this year for our work with the product and the community. So, and that's Ryan below us. He's also last year one of the most prolific blogger, prompting someone to comment that there was more about quality than quantity. But having said that, if you are working on a technical problem and you just need to Google something, go laugh Ryan Bailey. And you'll find something on his blog which is you can excitedly explain to you how he ran across this bug and he fixed it. It's wonderful. So he's provided a lot of value in that way. Luke Ballantyne, who's over there. Oh, there you go. He's the AKQA Technical Director and one of our hosts. We'd like to thank to AKQA with hosting and Luke Ballantyne's venue, of course. And the other sponsor today is Sitecore Australia, who's paid for our refreshments. So good on them as well. And lastly, down the bottom, we've got Tish Shah, who's sitting right there. He's a technical lead at AKQA, and for someone who's just sort of jumped into Sitecore, he's really done fantastic stuff and come a long way in a very short period of time. So big ups to you. Right, moving on to the next slide. I've got to mention this, the hackathon, which is Friday, 2nd of March. If you want to be involved, go and register and find some teams or create a team. Ryan and I have hooked up with a Canadian, and our team's called the Poutineers, around their love of poutine, which is everyone know what that is, right? Yeah, it's kind of weird, potato and gravy. Not weird, cheese curds. It's really strange, but it's great, especially lots of gravies. So don't forget that, sitecorehackathon.org if you're interested in being involved.
It's a 24-hour coding sort of competition for teams of up to 3. It runs at it's 10 a.m. or 3 p.m. sort of start time for us on Saturday night. So it is an out of hours thing, but it's a bit of fun.
What we get is like 4 topics which we're allowed to tackle. And within those topics, we're going to come up with a module or a solution or something that's going to work within that. So it's very, very exciting. A lot of the advances in Sitecore from the open source community happen around this time. So just want to mention that. So what's new in Sitecore? Well, look, honestly, guys, there's so much. There's heaps. A lot of it's densely technical. A lot of it's not so technical. There's quite a few changes coming up in the architecture, how we architect our analytics and where things get pushed.
Sorry, one thing, is this being recorded?
It is. Did you get it working, Matt?
I think so. Streaming as well as recorded?
It's
so we're going to come back and...
Yeah, absolutely. So YouTube records it, and then when we stop the stream, it's... Do you know, I'll tell you how I found this out, because I had my laptop sitting underneath my desk with the lid open and go, okay, was the streaming working? Oh yeah, it was working. Boom. Next thing I know, I've been posted to Twitter and all the other MVPs are going, nice shot, guy. Luckily I had pants on, so that was a good thing. Sorry? No. So this is the kind of thing we probably couldn't get away with in the previous year's groups because we're all sort of, so we can do that sort of thing now. Alright, so this is what we're going to cover off. Oh my god, take a deep breath because there is an awful lot. So we're going to look at the prerequisites and requirements for installing Sitecore 9. It's very different. Before we're used to an executable where you just go double click, put in your database details, away you go, boom. Nowadays it's a lot more complicated, but in a lot of ways it's better because it allows you to script installs for specific environments. So Ryan's going to cover that off. That's the Sitecore installation framework. Search has changed. Lucene is kind of like, so environments really encouraged. So Ryan's going to cover that off. That's the installation framework. Now configuration. Who's ever configured a role on a server by hand? Spreadsheet on one screen, configs on the other, as you comment things out and disable things. You've probably all been there, right? It's enough to drive a man mad. So that's all been taken care of with configuration roles on the Sitecore 9. So you can basically just in the setting go, it's a delivery server, and everything else is taken care of, which is, wow, mana from heaven. Authentication, we're going to talk about that. Now, single sign-on supported across, I will refer to authentication. Dynamic placeholders, which of course you've probably all been using for a little bit, but now supported in the core product. Now, we're going to have a look at XConnect. This was previously referred to as data exchange framework, when it was sort of like a work in progress. We'll talk about that. Forms has changed, marketing automation has changed, there's new JavaScript services. They're pretty incredible. Ryan's going to cover off those. Sitecore Cloud Experience Commerce 9, which dropped yesterday. Yesterday, day before. So there's a whole lot of busy beavers all around who are going, I need to install this. Alright, then we've got Luke and Gatesh. They're going to have a look at navigating the Sitecore Experience Accelerator, SXA. I believe AKQA have used this for a couple of customers now. It is quite a fantastic solution accelerator, and we've had fun playing with it. And then we're going to finish up with Nell, something completely non-technical, but Nell's absolutely fabulous when looking at customer-centric approaches for user experience design. So it's going to take us through this end. So thanks to AKQA and thanks to Sitecore. We're going to have to race, guys, because there's so much. So if I'm talking 10 to the dozen, please forgive me. All right, Ryan, look, it's got your name up there. You're up.
Including with commerce as well, you sort of end up with 7 or 8 IS sites, and each one of them is security required. As well as the sort of your data at rest of the SQL level encryption can be used, as well as at the service or work level as well with data in motion. We encrypt that out of the box to provide sort of standard security features. Should be there.
I think this is quite an important point because we've bumped into this with many New Zealand clients around the idea of data sovereignty. They're going, well, hang on, all that customer data is just going into this Mongo database. This is safe, and especially when it comes to storing your data offshore, like in a data center in Australia. So with your data encrypted at rest and in motion, you can turn around and go, well, yeah, look, this is pretty safe.
Obviously, this means we need SSL certificates. Bit of a list. Locally, you can of course generate your own, and you've got to be careful with which domain you register it to. But in the cloud and for your production and test environments, you're going to need to generate quite a few, depending on the size of the scale of the environment. It's pretty easily locally you can generate it pretty quickly. Through to the Sitecore installation framework. So this is the next point. Sitecore SIM's gone now. For now, it's apparently going to come back a bit more in the future, and we'll see there's sort of an in-between. But what we're looking at now is what's called the Sitecore installation framework. So this is a module for PowerShell which you can install, and this allows the scripting of the installation and maintenance of Sitecore. So, for example, if you want to install Sitecore 9, you sort of download the example startup script, and then it will make calls onto this certain module which handles the things like installing packages like Experience Accelerator. It can rebuild indexes, it can install updates as well. So pretty much anything that you've done by hand with Sitecore in the past, this will handle, and this is where it helps with things like Azure PaaS as well. With commerce as well, there's quite an intensive script as well that they give you that install all of that and all of those prerequisites, sort of 7 or 8 different modules plus some PowerShell extensions and whatnot.
So can we
sorry?
can we use the description?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they're just configured using JSON files. So it's a little bit of mucking around in JSON files, setting things up correctly. But once you've done it once, it's incredibly flexible, and because it's using PowerShell scripts, I mean, you you can effectively do anything. So if you want to deploy an environment once, you could set that script up and then just completely reuse it. Whereas before, if you're running the executable, then run up the executable and then go through and configure. It'll also do things like there's some community contribution scripts for like running up solar, generating a cell sign cert for solar, and setting that up without you having to do anything except go run.
Effectively, what the official SIP is, that's the module for PowerShell that gives you all of these modules that you can call and all these functions. And when I talked about the sort of the example install script, that's just a short little configured thing where you type in the details of the instance and that'll call all of the PowerShell modules. So in your case, you could use just the module to do sort of own existing process as well.
Can you push your own scripts up there to use?
I don't know about on the official release. I think there may be a GitHub there with pull requests, but it's one of those ones where they're quite, I think if you raised or found a bug or you showed an improvement to support, they can sort of help with putting it in. But much like Sim, it's not really not that, it's somewhat open source, but they're quite protective of this sort of stuff because it's quite a security risk what it's doing.
So remember we had some issue on the configuration management instances of same servers, where some configurations, schedules were running on global servers, where they have some conflicts. So will these scripts take care of that?
One of the future things we'll talk about around the roles, we might cover that one a bit better, around some configurations. So here's the sort of an example of how you get it installed from the cloud and everything. Here's an example from Solar and Surf. Solar is the fun to set up, so that helps. We've got Syphilis, Thomas is in where that's sort of in the between with Sim, and that kind of gives you a GUI on top of this, which it's worth looking into. That kind of gives you a much more user-friendly way to handle this, and it gives you a real look at the options and things, so it's worth looking at. And there's also some great video producers out there. So Wayne, I'll give you some more info on that one.
Oh, very cool.
I think that was part of the alert. So I'm too, it's a good tool though. So in terms of search, I thought of you when that was put in. I thought, yeah, Wayne's experience. So Mario's looking down at us now. So a lot we've talked about in terms of Lucene, it's sort of not recommended. If you're running a single server Sitecore instance, which there are still smaller current implementations of that, you're still welcome to use Lucene, but it's on the, it's not, I mean, I think of these are all running on top of Lucene anyway, but generally people won't use that anymore. But Solar and Azure Search are required for each scheme to get all of that goodness out of that. Generally, you'll use Solar on your on-prems and IaaS. If you're looking at the PaaS option, you need to use Azure Search. It's pretty easy to set up. It's not too much and sit and handle it as well. Much like, I mean, a lot of us start off on Lucene, I'm guessing as well. So all of these contract libraries that we use for the ranking of the search against the content and the highlighting and suggested terms and fuzzy search and all that stuff, that's all still there. So a lot of your code, like I've done a Lucene to Solar migration, it's all much the same, it's just a slight different index configuration, but not much really changed. So this is the one Bruce was talking about. We've all had quite a bit of fun with this spreadsheet going down in this one file, and you've got two CM servers and one of them's got this turned on and one of them doesn't, or you make the infrastructure guys go through and check three environments. So it's always been a bit of a hassle. This is PowerShell up as well, there's some stuff available, but it was always a bit of a hassle, and I think quite often you run into issues with this. So this is what the sort of current state that we used to do. So what we're looking at now is the rules-based configuration, and that's where you, in the configuration, sort of assign a role to a server and say this is the content delivery role, this is the content management plus processing plus reporting, and you say, and that will automatically handle how these files are enabled, so to speak, as well as the additional patch folder locations. Again, it's not recommended to edit these files directly. We've also done those, but the places where we want to patch these is there's a folder for Sitecore for the core CMS patch that you're going to make. Modules is where, if you're still running web form for marketers in 9, you would make the patches for that. Custom is where all your internal stuff would go, no more like ZZZ client name. And environment's an interesting one as well, where you can have settings and other variables and things that change depending on the environment. So, for example, your mail settings will be different in a defined UAT production environment as well. So, it takes away a lot of the sort of customizations that you have to do around that. There'll be a screenshot in the next slide, but the load ordering of all of these patches and whatnot, so obviously sort of your custom environment will come at the end. And search provider is actually defined sort of as a configuration item as well. And again, you might have that environment base where you're running Solar locally, but Azure up in the cloud for your passage. So here we're defining the role as a standalone, so your single server locally, as well as the search, which you've still got the 3 there. And down here is some examples of settings that are set for, so in this example, your content manager in the cloud or your standalone will have item cloning enabled. And then you have some custom settings around words and ands, and you can use a bit of logic around this sort of stuff. Or not, and it adds a lot more customization, a lot more easily as well. And this is an example of a bit of your search index as well. And you'll notice all the homes look the same, but this index, for example, would be turned on with Solar as a provider. So this is, did you put this on, Bruce? So the config load order, obviously we work with the ZZZ folders and the ZSwitch master link, which is you won't need anymore with this new provider. But effectively, based on here as well, this is showing you the load order of these configurations as well. So if people follow the new edits framework for solution design, obviously you start with the foundation and go to the feature, which will pop across the project as well. And here's an example of a defined environment. So there's your UAT environment, and your password changes based on which environment it's set in. So this is things like UCTP settings or service endpoints and that sort of stuff. It's going to make it a lot more easier, and then we don't have to do custom code to switch through these sorts of things.
So they seem to have the encryption.
Yeah, I think this here is a bit of a, it's just a comment that the daisy will run and storing that. But, oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, why that isn't salted. I think this is a custom setting, but I'm not sure actually why that would be some comments.
Just an example.
Yeah, I think it's. Yeah, I'll extract them to federated authentication, it's not a common requirement for a lot of implementations in New Zealand. Effectively, any of the old middlewares will use, so you've got any common ones in there. Probably the likely ones you'd use if you're doing this sort of thing, like your Facebook and your Twitters for user-generated content sort of stuff. And that will either create some virtual users in Sitecore or persistent users who maybe you're saving some data on their Sitecore protocol. And this is membership database is separate from the XDB identification contact details. This is where there might be permissions assigned to them. Maybe you have people that are logging in with elevated permissions, for example, so you might store it on these persistent users. And XDB contacts are sort of aside from this stuff. You would get custom identifiers if you were looking at that. And there's these are good resources here. We're going to share these slides, so there's a few links to some really good blog posts in here. This one here, it's probably not Yeah, if the one stop for the line as well as we need to put this something interesting. So dynamic placeholders has been a bit of a sticking point for years now in the Sitecore user voice. It's always been the most voted feature. We've got custom implementations of this, and now it's finally been brought in. So an example of this might be where you have a 2-column rendering which you bring into the page which has a placeholder. If you were to then insert another 2-column into that 2-column, in the past without dynamic placeholders that wouldn't be working. You need this installed or a custom pipeline in the past to be able to support that. So this is Habitat needs to say both had something to handle it, but that was again customization. So there's uses for this in the terms of dynamic content building and dispute cases. Yeah, many upgrades to be moved across to. And as you can see, I don't know what you mentioned, but a theory knowledge to be doing with new builds. It's been a while. I think a lot of us are still on Google, but yeah. And there's again a couple more good resources on this, and this one's quite good as well. If you're using a custom implementation, it goes over sort of how to fix it up and handle the changes there.
Okay, yeah, so the XDB and how it's been architected has changed quite dramatically with Line. As you can see there, you've got a lot of stuff going all over the ship, just to put it simply. That's kind of what it's going to look like now. Everything's going through XConnect, and it's also all encrypted and secure. So I'm not going to go too technical on that. It's basically a standalone service layer, .NET Core 2. The idea behind it, and this is part of the overall Sitecore strategy, is that the more information you know about your visitors, obviously the more you can tailor your customer experience, and the more you're able to address them on an individual manner. The thing is, these days we're getting such a huge variety of inputs. So when you think about it, you've got email, you've got social, you've got their web interactions, and then you've got exciting things which are coming up, which we haven't even really beginning to deal with, which is like the Internet of Things, your enabled fridges, where you've got your displayed shopping list on. And you go, hey Google, add bananas to my shopping list, and it's going to pop up in your thing. Hey Google, send my shopping list to, generic supermarket for delivery order tomorrow. This is the sort of thing is will be happening in the next, 2 to 3 years in New Zealand. It's pretty close. But the point is that when you get this such big data set, it's becoming untenable for humans to analyse it, to look for trends, to figure out that if you are a female shopper from Glen Eden who's coming to the site on Friday afternoon, you're far more likely to buy alcohol or some such thing like that. I'm just making this stuff up. But if you're trying to analyse those huge data sets to look for those trends, so when that female shopper who lives in Glen Eden is between the ages of 18 and 20 hits your site at 4 p.m. on a Friday afternoon, you're not going to show a chicken, are you? You're actually going to show your alcohol specials, quite likely. And I'm just using alcohol as an example because it could be any product set across this. But humans, at this data set level, we're not capable of making those decisions, spotting those trends. And this is where AI is playing a huge part of it. So AI is something we're all going to have to come to terms with pretty fast. And Sitecore's kind of ahead of the patch really with this. If you know Sitecore, you know you've got the path analyzer in there, and you've also got this thing called suggested tests. So when you go and set up a page test, native non-direct test, it's also suggesting other tests. And that's actually using moderately primitive machine learning and AI to present those tests. Sitecore is going way beyond that in the next few iterations, and all of your analytics data, if you think about it, it makes sense to actually send it off into the cloud and to use the Sitecore cloud, because then you can also use the Sitecore artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms to actually mine that in real time. So we're talking about a future where we've got huge data sets where, and it comes with risks, right? Everyone following the great Fitbit controversy in the last week, where suddenly all the Fitbit data, which they posted to the cloud,
Another brand.
anonymously with another brand, suddenly they realise that you go and you go, hey look, here's an American army base in Iraq, and here's where the guys go jogging in the morning because there's this really busy line. Perfect. So there's going to be unintended consequences in the future, but it's a very exciting future. So XConnect really is just a way, and essentially we got introduced to XConnect. Oh yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Web forms. Oh, so sad. May cry. XConnect a little while back with Data Exchange Framework. When we were in New Orleans, we talked to the architect of this, Todd, and said, we've got a customer in New Zealand who really wants to do this funky stuff with the Data Exchange Framework, and we're just more than a little bit nervous about it because we don't know where the product's going. And we don't want to build something and then 6 months later they go, oh, here's one new framework, we've got to refactor all this, it's going to cost all clients heaps. So we dug out and found out about it, and XConnect is really just the genesis of that. So fortunately we were on the right path. But this is why I think it pays to go to these events and try and stay ahead of the curve. As you can see up here, web forms, it's not dead. It's just kind of limping along on a crutch, not looking very happy. Everyone who's tried to develop for web form for marketers in this room knows that it's, well, I don't know, you can really have much more fun at the end. But web forms has been replaced. And the new web forms, Ryan was going to do a demo, but his machine kind of rolled over and died in a spectacular fashion due to some other activity.
Yeah, I had the pre-release for commerce and now I installed a new one. I had to blow away the old one.
So the days of web form for marketers are gone. The new forms are really nice. I think web forms is they keep supporting it up to 9.1, and after that, you should really look at migrate new forms across. It's a whole heap easier to use. It's completely rewritten, modern interface, drag and drop, integration with engagement automation, XDB pumping everything back. Really nice design interface. It just, when you look at what web forms used to be like, oh, praise the Lord. Beautiful things.
So that's a manual upgrade for your forms as well, but coming in the future is some of the stuff like conditional rendering. So if a user presses yes on this checkbox, show this form field, this sort of stuff we can customize. That's coming in the new release. The goal originally was feature parity.
So yeah, it's not web form for marketers, supported until 9.1, but some neat things like multi-page forms, which have all been kind of hacked together for a while now. No more. You can also, there's some good analytics stuff. You can analyze your form performance. God, I can't believe how easygoing we are around forms in New Zealand. When you think about it, your contact us form or any form on your page is pretty much the first thing that a customer is going to use to connect with you. So at that point, it's the very start of your engagement process. So it really does deserve a bit of thought. So a contact us form, for example, I go in and find out, oh, sorry, I've just looked at your products and I can't kind of figure out which one is which. This is a whole lot of valuable information, right? Firstly, I'm telling them I'm interested in your product, I'm telling them which product I'm interested in, and I'm also giving them a potential solution how they can sell that product to me. Should that be ignored? Should that be going off to somebody's email box where some disgruntled employee is going to kind of go in the morning and go, oh, yeah, a few of these things and sift your way through? This is what engagement automation is about. For my mind, any form on your site should immediately just throw them into an engagement automation plan. And the contact us one's an obvious one. First thing you do is you send back an email saying, hey, look, thanks for contacting us. One of our highly skilled and charming and handsome customer service reps will be right back to you soon. And then wait a few days. Has this been updated? Has any other contact come through? Are you plugged into your CRM? Have they called up? All these sort of things really work. And so you wait 3 days. Are they happy? Send them up. Has your problem been resolved? How can we possibly help you further? And it's through this sort of engagement automation that you win customers for life. It's true, it's undeniable. So you can also analyze your form performance and go, well, every time someone gets this big, huge field we'll put down the bottom, they just abandon the form. Maybe we should rethink that. Marketing automation, Ryan was going to talk about this. Who remembers the Silverlight marketing automation? Inward shutter. This is all HTML5, so it's really beautiful views, really nice. I think Kentaco really would beat up first, but I think this is much better than Kentaco now. So if you run up something, then you have a good play with that. Yes, no more Silverlight. It replaces what used to be called engagement automation. Speed 3 has been figured prominently throughout Sub 4.9. Angular JS-based service, it's great.
I think it's a bit easier to hook into now. I think it's customized service profiles and things. It's a little bit nicer.
So this replaces engagement automation, but what happens with wherever I created for engagement?
Again, I think that's a manual.
There's no migration
Yeah.
path. You have to rebuild your plans, sorry. But you know, it's a lot easier now. So Ryan's going to talk about JavaScript services. This is really exciting stuff. I've seen guys do demos where they create whole content trees with just a few JavaScript commands. So Ryan's going to cover it off. It's pretty cool.
So effectively, this is Sitecore's headless CMS offering. It's a way of exposing the core features of the product through to your front-end developers. They're not going to need they can use their Sublime text or the Visual Studio Code. They're not going to force them into installing Sitecore and what comes with it. Whereas they could be hitting a service URL up in a development environment, or if you're feeling brave on your own laptops, and when you leave for the day, they're dead. It's quite. We've been showing it with a few of our front-end guys internally, and the feedback's been quite positive. In the past, there's sort of customizations needed for a lot of this stuff, but there is a preview out now where you can provide a bit of feedback. The gotcha down there on the consumption licensing is if you purchased a Sitecore license for an X number of prod servers, I don't believe your license will cover it out of the box. You'll need to speak to your account manager. But I think a lot of the newer people we've got coming on are on this sort of consumption model where you pay one number of visits. There was a map of software now as the account manager. If you're not sure, reach out to your partner or software direct as well.
And if you still can't find anyone, just press the I'll track someone down for you. We just did an interim phase at the moment. There isn't actually a Sitecore rep on the ground in New Zealand. They're running out of Australia, which is a bit sad for us.
Do you want to talk to us?
No, carry on. She's doing that.
Yeah, so just a few other notes on Sitecore is they've cleaned up a lot of the code in terms of some of the older references in there. For people that are coming from a really early version of Sitecore, where you've upgraded but not updated the deprecated references, you might have a bit of fun when you hit 9 and you've got to go back a version of the code to see which reference is gone and what you should have been using at 8.1. So there's a bit of fun there. Experience editors a little bit more smoother. Speed-wise, we've had some initial feedback that it is a little bit faster. I know there's a few instances out there where people have had speed issues around that and had to do some customizations and caching and things to get that running a bit smoother. No more Silverlight, which is good. I think the App Store is now Silverlight free as well, but what we were left on Silverlight was the App Store for purchasing your GeoIP lookups and EBC mail outs, marketing automation. So that's all finally gone. We don't have to install IE to get it going. And the upgrades are going to be a bit more simpler, and they're continuing their model with the express upgrades as well. For example, 9 can come from versions of 8.1 to skip 8.2 as well. And I think moving forward, it's going to be a much simpler process. And SIP will have support, I believe, to handle a lot of this as well. Got the device protection, which is a paid feature as well. I think that it's quite strong. It picks up TVs and some of this other sort of stuff. It does quite a bit out of the box and makes it a bit easier for personalization roles, targeting different, someone's browsing with a smart rich, maybe they need a bit of personalization. The Sitecore Experience Accelerators had a lot of bug fixes and improvements. Petition Looping, we'll talk a bit more of that soon. And documentation now, in the past, this is sort of how people got their MVP was deep bottom of Sitecore DLLs and figuring out what the story was and blogging about that. Sitecore really has improved documentation with Martina and the team out there in Europe. It's quite strong in terms of things like your data exchange framework and other modules. They've really deep dived into provide a lot of examples and a lot of hints and tips, and it's worth having a look at some of this new stuff. Some example here in the development center as well, with some of the early adopters of this was Connect and your marketing automation sort of newer features. As well as the Helix is a really good example of how their new structure and the format they use, and JSS if you're going to be taking a look at that.
So the future, quite a few things got unveiled at Symposium in Las Vegas. The first one is going to be around the idea of Cortex, which is like cloud-based machine learning. So you'll be able to push your analytics data sets up into the cloud and basically get machines to go through and spot trends and make recommendations. So it's going to go further. Over the next few years, we're going to see this done automatically. So on your site, you'll be able to set up automatic machine learning optimization of your site. So it's going to watch what people are doing, and in certain when people start doing things, it's automatically going to give them the best experience. Of course, you can tune it, turn it on and off, or that sort of thing. But it's around this brave new future where we've just got so much data about people coming from their Fitbits and their fridges and everything. Humans just don't have brains big or fast enough to be able to go through and deal with that. So that's going to play a really big part. Zenith Sash Horizon, the content, the experience here is going to be replaced. And from what we saw of a demo, it's really, really nice. You can do actually everything in one window. I could probably wobble on about it for a couple of hours, but you can compare pages and you can see optimization experiences. And it's all done through the experience editor, and it's really beautiful to watch. So that's going to be fantastic to see. And of course, Commerce 9, which dropped a couple of days ago. Previously, Cycle Commerce 8.2.1 was, perfectly honest, a bit of a bleeding nightmare, really, because you still have all these legacy bits of what used to be Microsoft Commerce, which you may know had this incredible history with Microsoft product, and wasn't. They got sold something else, then wasn't. And then Sitecore picked it up. So the last few bits of that legacy stuff, which is actually the commerce server per se, which used to sit separately, and you do all your stuff with services, right? So your web service, your order service, your product service, blah, 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 on the web. That's all been replaced. It's been completely written in .NET Core 2 and pulled into the core product. So as a commerce experience platform, it's just incredibly powerful. It's got all of the Sitecore stuff, but all the personalization stuff, but in one nice and neat package rather than muck around with other things. So there's just some slides. Yeah, machine learning for real-time insights. That's at your personal data scientist. This was shown at the very last sort of 10 minutes of Symposium, and people were just like, oh no, it was like a religious meeting. There's like people standing up and, hey, how are you doing? It was fantastic. Because there's some neat things there. So you can see, in the experience editor, this is looking at a mobile view. You've got these things down the side where you can do all sorts of like experience management, change how things, look at how a user from so-and-so or some profile might see it. First, I'm looking forward to it, really. So what you're seeing there is sort of things like heat maps. Looking at performance for an individual page, how you can optimize it, suggested tests. All of this stuff's coming with machine learning, really, because we're just too dumb as humans. The SXA storefront, which we'll probably be playing around with in the next few days. It's essentially SXA dropped onto the new commerce platform. So again, you've got the whole drag and drop components on your page, build up pages, it makes it a lot easier. So that's, phew. Questions?
At the box, That's right. So, Sitecore, faster than ever. That's the question. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Nitesh now. He's going to walk you through a couple of demos about pros and cons.
Right, so I'm going to be talking more about advantages and disadvantages of pros and cons, we say, mostly about SXA. Mostly what Luke said, I will be taking very similar, but we'll go to demos maybe for them. So that's one of the best functionality drag and drop for content editors. From developers' point of view, you still create the renderings in the same way, but it's just like all the renderings which are commonly used are already pre-built. So we don't have to waste time on breadcrumbs, media, rich text, and those ones. So let's quickly have a look how they work. So that's the toolbox. So it comes with quite a lot of them. Some of them are custom as well in here. Text. Here ones are quite handy. Video, page, page content is quite common ones. Plain HTML page list. So if you want to have a small navigation on the left side, just put the page list and it looks at all the pages below that page. So as Luke said, it's easy to edit the views of them, but if you want to have control over the controller and all those code, then it's worth to create your own custom rendering controller. So let's see how this works. So these are all the placeholders that we have put. You could have just one on the page, and editor can draw all the critical column. They can split the column as they want. In the next slide, I think I'll be showing that. So let's just add one drag and drop and just see how it works. So all the components are as easy as this. So you can just drag and drop. Previously, it wasn't that straightforward. You had to either select the component or something like that and find which folder the components are and all that stuff.
So you can see the personalization testing involves supporting your out of the box that you want to recommend that you option there.
Yeah, I think everything that you can do with rendering before, you can still do it. It's just on the top of the current renderings. This just adds extra functionality. So lots of pre-built components like rich text, image, search. Generally takes quite a lot of time. Accordion carousels, these are quite tricky to build as well, especially then integration with front end and all that stuff. So if you don't want too much customized accordions and carousels, I think this is a perfect fit.
So, question, so this complex, can you style it or completely extendable?
Yeah, so that will export.
I'm going to show you a demo in a few minutes where you can export and import a theme as well to start your components. So with accordions, or let's say accordion for example. Yes, so I've created a data source already. So all the control is from here now. You can save that. So with this accordion component, it's just the plus icons we have added, and we have given some margins and padding. But other than that, all the layer was already there with this. The JavaScript and everything was ready. There's options that do you want to have first one always open? Do you want to have the current page open? Do you want to have? You don't want to allow them to close any of the accordions. So once you open, you can always keep them open. So all this functionality is already inbuilt. So they are quite customizable in terms of all those options. But if you want to edit some code or something for the controller, I would say create your own accordions.
Could you like to start from scratch?
So yeah, that's. You can edit the description of the accordion here, you can edit this one. You can, if you click here, you can add a new accordion straight to the data source from here. You can remove the item. So most of the components are straightforward. Tabs is very similar as well. You try to drop an arrow data source and it shows you the different tabs for them. Navigation, breadcrumb, breadcrumb has got lots of options. You can actually override the page names as well, which is quite hard to build actually. All that can be done and it stores on the XSA component. With all these components, you can add custom variants, rendering variants, or styles to them as well. And all that is part of SXS. So it's straightforward. You can just go and presentation of that and just say add some more rendering variants.
If you have multiple pages using the same coordinates, is there a way?
Yeah, so you create a data source and just put that according again and use the same data source.
Can we configure the image from any of this component?
Configure what?
Events, page events or?
So even personalization or
like a goal.
yeah, so that was a part of engagement. Is that something?
You could put that in one JavaScript, couldn't you, and then just have a callback on the back end to close an API or something like that.
The one that the little you were talking about, what you do, stuff with customization.
Yeah.
Is it true you can put a tab inside an accordion and then inside those tabs put more accordions? And how deep can you go?
Definitely not recommended, but you know how editors are, so they actually put in accordion inside a tab and they actually went down and put another accordion as well. It's not right.
And that should dynamic place bobs.
How is the one look at?
All the components in there are responsive, it touches to responsive.
Yeah, so all of them are responsive and adaptive, so you can decide which framework you're using. And
So when you choose that framework, it does correct HTML with the classes onto the components, depending on what framework it is. Can you switch your framework once you really started on your site? So if you choose a bootstrap, also,
I think you've got to go back and make some changes. If you switch it in the middle, you've got to take a while to unwind that.
okay, so you have to know
Yeah.
I think even if you are, I think one of the limitations I'm going to go through later is like halfway if you're deciding to change things, it's not a good idea with the SXA. You should make your decision early enough and then go with it. So grid layout, again, looks at the 4 options available: Bootstrap, Foundation, Grid 160, and your custom framework. So your front end can decide how my accordions and all that stuff works. Just quickly show how. Actually, gonna go over a video and show that. Let's take a little bit turn. Okay. So what I'm doing here is just throwing a splitting column. So with splitting column, I can divide 6 column by 6 column, 3 by 3, 6, or something like that. So I added one splitting column, I'm going to its properties, and I'm saying, okay, make it 6 by 6 and 1.5 column. So your content editors can decide the page structure. You don't need to be deciding your page text is always look like this. Then I'm going on the right side and I'm saying, okay, I want 2 rows inside this, one for each text and one for images maybe. So I did 2 rows. The second one I want again half.
So you can split the tabs, put your accordion, and split the accordion, put another different tabs. Exceptional system.
It's pretty much like dynamic personalization.
Yeah, they do a custom implementation of dynamic placeholders, which with cycle one uses the other girls. Now it's shaking its head in some of the UX universe. Yeah.
So we push services.
It starts back on the earlier one too, and you get the early version. There are bugs as the new Sitecore feature, so you kind of want to, if you can get onto 9, but you can start it earlier if you're doing campaign sites and things. That's a really good use case for these, is people that are spinning up campaign sites with unique branding. You don't want to reinvent the wheel and do 23 different slides. You want to do a theme each time. The front users do that. We just spin up this multi-site thing.
So I'm going to pause the video here, and now I have played the video again after a few minutes because it was taking quite a lot of time to add those components. But you'll see in a second what I have added. So I have added two images, rich text, an image on the left, but there's no margins between them. So I thought, let me show you how variants and stars and those things work. So you can add custom variants here over stars. This was fast. So I'm just taking properties and then you're saying on important. So once that does, when we give the margin bottom, just adds starts there. So instead of margin bottom, we could add variants as well, which could have some values. So depending on the values, you would want to change some species classes maybe. So another benefit is if you got mini sites, campaign sites for plants, this is very handy. So you just create the themes once, and then you ask have a documentation how campaign editors can create the site, and they can create all the campaign sites on their own. So they go, okay, new site, they put the name of the site, then they say what features they want. Sometimes it's possible you don't want to have too much heavy, a lot of rendering components, so you can decide actually for site A, I only want context fonts. For site B, I want everything. Then you can decide a theme, and when you make a theme, maybe first I create a new theme, or a dark theme, light theme, and then your editors can, while creating, select which theme they want every time. So that's what the structure looks like. You will have 5 folders below your site. Home, media, data, presentation settings. Home generally holds all your pages of the website. Media is all the media library items. Now it's totally up to you whether you want to decide and put media under that site tree or in a common media library. Because this actually duplicates the media concept of Sitecore. If you want to have campaign images only for that campaign, use this media folder. Otherwise, use the global media folder and have folder structure inside that as well. With data, it creates all the data sources, folders for all the SXA components like accordions, tabs, and all that stuff. So if you look at this, it's created all those folders for me.